Wow. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you guys sticking around for us. We were just talking up here. There's probably 10 more people than we thought we'd get for this last session. So we really appreciate the big turnout. It's hard not to do anything and not be inundated with technology today. Everything is coming really, really quick. So that ship has sailed. Whether we like it or not, technology is going to permeate into everything that we do. This session is about how do you do that responsibly? And in a day of data and AI and all these wonderful things, I think this is a very, very relevant topic. My name is Dave Marcinkowski. I'm the founder of a real estate company called Madera Residential. I'm also the founder of a technology company called Quaxed. And I get the great job of moderating, which means my hope is, I know I do a good job if I make them look good. Fortunately for me, we have 4 rock stars up here, and it's very little that I'm going to have to do other than herd them in and move on to the next question. So I'm going to start off by asking everybody just kind of 30 seconds, kind of give everybody an introduction of who you are. Jason, you mind starting for us?
Sure. I'm Jason Gardini. I'm the head of Senior VP of Technology for Saris Regis Group. We do third-party management of multifamily properties. We're in 8 states. We manage about 43,000 units right now, a little over 200 properties. And you could tell as I head of technology because I forgot to turn off my phone and it just rang while he was talking. Rookie move.
All good, all good. I'm David Shaw. I'm the president and COO of Lively, and we are a resident operations platform that sits on top of your PMS and your tech stack to create a unified workflow and a single point of entry for your property teams as well as your residents.
That's cool. Hi, Brandy Daniel. I am Chief Strategy Officer at BH. We are an owner-operator, third-party manager of multifamily and BTR homes. We have about 100,000 homes across the states.
And I'm Doug Hatler with Boingo Wireless. We are focused on the underlying infrastructure of technology that is often now being adopted in commercial real estate, which is in-building cellular. We also do Wi-Fi and private networks, but our focus is making sure that the technology that you all want to use and the owners want to use for tenant experience, all the AI applications, we provide that underlying framework on which those applications can run. And it's really, as we talk about tech adoption and things that we do, it's really important to have a solid infrastructure on which you build your tech stack on. And it's even been proven, I'll close with this, that if you've got good connectivity in your building, there's been research show that you can get 3 to 5% premium on your ROI as a building owner. And you will then have much greater assurance that your tenants are going to get that experience that they want for their lifestyle, and that your workers and the people that come into the building are going to be able to do the things that they need to do with their BYO to bring your own device and whatever things they're doing in the building. So we're pleased to be here, or I'm pleased to be here, and this is our first attendance at the RETCON conference, and we're pleased to be supporting the commercial real estate industry and the technology, and be the underlying technology for the great things that are happening out there.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to start off with kind of a general question. I'm going to ask everybody to kind of chime in, if you don't mind, like 30 seconds. In today's day and age, why now, and what is responsible adoption of technology? What's your definition of responsible adoption of technology? Doug, let's go you and come back this way, if that's all right.
Sure. I mean, for us, our main focus is on cellular connectivity. So if we put it in the framework of what we're working with, responsible adoption is, for us, seeing that systems that are put in that you're counting on, the building owner is counting on to be able to build your tech stack and infrastructure on for these AI and tenant experience apps and these other platforms, including public safety. We want to make sure that those systems are reliable and they're compliant. What a lot of people don't realize is the carriers own cell phone signal. So you bring it into the building, you have to be compliant with the carrier requirements. So part of that technology adoption and doing it correctly is making sure that the systems that you're putting in place are compliant with the carrier requirements. So we spend a lot of time on that. Unfortunately, there are systems integrators and smaller operators that will put systems in and they'll put the building owner and operators at risk because those systems aren't often compliant with the requirements by the carriers. And there's numerous cases we've run across where the carriers have been able to detect that the technology is called interferences, and they've shut the systems down. So reliable technology adoption for us is making sure that, one, the system is compliant and it's working as a carrier grade, which is what you need for an underlying infrastructure platform. Two, it's reliable and you can count on it. And three is it's built to scale, because a lot of these buildings, particularly multifamily, large high-rise buildings, lots of people, you've got to make sure that technology is adopted well, so that when you put these other things like AI and tenant experience applications and public safety, they're going to work, and they're going to work all the time, and they're going to be reliable, and they're going to be consistent and give you that experience that you're hoping for.
That's great. Thanks, Doug. Brandy?
Yeah, for us, I would say responsible adoption means that I'm choosing, implementing, and governing technology in a way that is creating real value for the organization while minimizing risk and unintended consequences. How am I going to do that, right? This is going to be a little reductive for 30 seconds, but first I have to be sure that the purpose and the problem align, right? The technology that I'm choosing is actually solving the problem I'm trying to choose. There's a lot of innovation theater happening out there, a lot of really cool stuff, and we want it all. We want it all. And so the very first thing we have to do is ensure that to be responsible, that the technology that we're looking at is actually solving a problem for us. The second that we want to be sure of is that we are resourcing our team members and not de-skilling our team members by offering this particular technology that we're looking at. And so we want to be sure that when we look 5 years from now, we haven't outsourced our work, right? The things that we do, our skills, and what we bring to the table. And then, of course, we want to touch on, the security. It's only responsible if we're looking at security and if we're looking at the transparency that a particular technology offers. So, can I explain it to my clients? What does it do? What value does it bring? Can I explain it to my residents? Do I feel confident in having an audit tomorrow? There's a lot of questions that go into being sure that you're tracking down responsibility as you're adopting technology.
It's interesting. I told you guys that I'm probably going to go off script a few times. So when I say 30 seconds, you can define that any way that you want to. You bring up something I think it's important for us to acknowledge at some point during this conversation. You talk about people, and you're talking about empowering people using technology versus displacement of people. Can you talk a second more about that? I mean, especially a company like BH that's got a number of people, and I think there's this just underlying fear that technology is going to be taking jobs. Do you think that the jobs that we currently do in our industry are going to change with technology, and we're going to adapt to that?
Yeah, I think it's so exciting. I think there's a real potential for a lot of excitement around the human impact here. If we can take the team members that we have today and allow them to be creative and allow them to critically think and allow them to problem solve, there's not technology that's going to replace creativity, right? So even AI is derivative, right? It's only using what has already happened in order to predict or define what should happen next. And so to allow our team members to be creative and to think at a higher level and to start to define things in new ways and to be innovative themselves, I think that's really exciting. And so there's a real potential here if we put the right optics on it and we offer the right narrative and we have the right vision for the technology that we're adopting, there's a real excitement that we could be offering our team members some really cool paths for their future.
Yeah. And just to add to that, and this is something I've said on panels before, with AI coming out, that's what everybody thinks, AI is going to take people's jobs. It's going to redefine. It is going to redefine the way we work, but it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's the person who knows AI and knows how to use AI. It's going to take your job. That's the big.
Can you build on that just a second? Because like I hear that and I could be saying to myself, like, okay, I have to be a technologist now. Like, are you saying that? Or are you saying more like I have to lean into tech? I need to lean into AI and learn how it can affect me and how it can make.
Yeah, you just have to lean into it, and so you're only allowed to use Microsoft Copilot in my office for AI, and we train on it, and just simply using it for email, documents, searching changes the way you look at things. It was difficult for me to do it first, and guy at Microsoft gave me a deck of cards, and basically it was a deck of cards, and on every card it showed you how to ask for certain things for email and stuff when you use AI, and it really helped out. And when I come to a conference like this, I'm busy all day. I go back to my room and I have it summarize my emails from certain people, and it puts together a to-do list. So I find that I'm able to do more. Like, I'll give you one last example on it, like PowerPoint. So I'm gonna give you guys a little secret about guys who run technology. We are super not creative when it comes to like PowerPoint and I got tasked with putting together a PowerPoint presentation within a 24-hour time period for a huge pitch that we were doing with a client. And I just so happened to have a Word document that kind of bullet pointed everything I wanted to put in this PowerPoint. 2 minutes. And it created a 15-page PowerPoint presentation on my team that I spent probably about maybe an hour and a half editing. And it was great. Images, I look like a pro. So it was great. So our marketing team was impressed. So I got kudos from them. I'll throw that out there.
Awesome. Thanks. Let me get to David, and then I'll jump back over to you, Doug.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. AI and technology should really be used to allow your humans to do the uniquely human things that they were hired to do, right? The analysis and the articulation of the thoughts within the PowerPoint deck, right? Not scrambling on how to build a PowerPoint deck. Yep. In terms of the question, Dave, I was actually a little caught off guard that this question popped up in a mixed supplier and operator panel, because it's not very often that people tap their suppliers on the shoulder and ask their opinion or their vision or mission about responsible implementation. But I think that's part and parcel of being a good technology partner and not just a vendor. And so Lively from day one has been built for operations. I think the market oftentimes just views us as a resident app, a tool for the resident that maybe serves operations. But from day one, we've been built for operators. And so we've been intentional from the beginning on how are we a responsible partner given the workflows and the data systems that we touch due to the complex nature of what we accomplish and what we do. We really built Lively around a core premise that is now extended into our AI approach. And it's really the concept of you need to have clarity of outcomes, you need to have clarity of ownership, and you need to have clarity of controls. I think responsible implementation and adoption is not a technology process that a lot of people think. It's an operational initiative. It's the clear definition, even with the AI running in the background, who is the owner of those workflows, and building off of a human in the loop approach so that your humans are still making those strategic and executive decisions.
Yeah, that's great. Doug, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we talk about AI like it's a person or it's this thing, but it's really a tool. If you think back for those older goats here, I remember when Word first came out and word processing, it was a tool. So if you look at as Jason was framing it, it's a tool. So when you lean in, we used to call it on the software side, people who were super users. They embraced that they have to now use SAP back in that day. Then they embraced that they have to use a cell phone, and then you embraced you had to. So I think AI is the same. We have to look at it the same way. It's a tool that makes our business better. And if you lean in to accept that tool, you're going to give your company better results. We look at it the same way, within Boingo, where, we want to make sure that you have your connectivity so that it doesn't exist. You don't think about it. You just walk around with your cell phone. You can do anything you want to do, and you're fully empowered. And that makes you better for your employer, better for your company, and gives you a happier work experience as well as a good experience for your tenants and so forth.
Yep. David, I want to come back to you. When working as a technology partner, you talk about we've got operators up here, we have vendors up here, but working with an operator, you're dealing with sensitive data. You're dealing with resident data. I put in here for further down for the questioning, and I'm not going to go there unless you guys decide to go there, is like, whose data is it? Is a big question that I think we all need to answer. And I think regulatory, I think will eventually catch up and we'll be told what we need to do. But today it's still kind of the Wild West. How do you establish shared expectations around security and transparency and accountability in today's day with technology?
Yeah, that's interesting. We operate under the philosophy that the data is the customer's data, right? And the other guiding principle that we operate from is that we only collect the minimum necessary data to perform the functions that we perform. And so rather than scraping your full data lake, or if you've evolved to a data warehouse, we've intentionally built a product that knows what data points and how to map them to the work that we do. And so when we get InfoSec or data privacy questionnaires for RFPs or portfolio rollouts, it's a very short answer because we are only collecting 3 or 4 sensitive data points. The other advantage that a platform like Lively has is that we're not just the visualization tool for your backend systems. We're also what I suppose you could call in the AI world like the system of action. So on top of being unification of your data, we've also built the first-party tools for your residents and for your operators to actually execute the tasks. And that was the foundation of the Zero Inbox that we announced this week coming into RETCON. But what that allows us to do is that we can operate off of a minimal amount of sensitive or PII data because we are the enrichment and the context layer of all of that activity data. And then guess what? That data is yours too. You can go into our reporting center and export everything that happened within Lively. And now within our AI tool suite, we've surfaced that to an actual visibility panel. So every action that happens within Lively, whether it's human or AI initiated, is logged and audited and identified and can be reviewed and replayed for what your agent did. Not what the human did, we don't screen capture that, but whatever the AI agent did, as well as a full log of everything that the human did in that process. And so I think setting those expectations of being very clear up front of what data we're going to have to pull from, that puts a lot of people at ease because it is so limited. And then just building on a foundation of not keeping our system in a black box, being transparent, giving you evergreen access to your data, even if you leave Lively for whatever reason, which we have a greater than 97% retention rate in 10 years. So it doesn't happen often, but we believe it's your data. So a lot of it is what's your level of comfortability for us to do with it. And then these are the trade-offs depending on that level of comfortability.
The one thing about Lively that, you talked about it earlier, built by operators for operators. I mean, the seed that was planted for Lively 10 years ago was, operator like Alex coming together and really looking at how do we add technology. Go ahead. Just
real quick, and it's a battle I've been fighting for, 5 years at Lively, is that the narrative around Lively is that we were an over-engineered product, and we've often been like one step ahead of the problem that the market thinks it has. But we've been building since 2017 to this exact moment of a fully centralized, fully automated platform. So every decision we made, every architecture we implemented was all building for this moment. And now we're in this new age of AI and automation. And now we are able to provide unique value and functionality because of that over-engineering.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, so you brought up a good point earlier about the security of it, and in the ethics of piloting and going after technology, like it's my responsibility, it's the responsibility of our clients and our company. When you take on a product, especially around AI, is to really take a look at the company you're going to use, because a lot of companies use OpenAI, and you got to see how they're using it, regardless of what data they're grabbing. And what we do is we run every company we do business with, we run them through a security scorecard. And it shows, and what it does is they keep track of their websites, information they have out there and going, and they grade companies. And we had 3 companies this year where we said, your contracts will not be renewed because one of them had an F on a security scorecard rating. Several had Ds, Cs, and we required them to bring their scores up before we would do business with them. So really take a look at that, because when it comes down to whose data it is, we're the ones who are going to get the lawsuit, and we're responsible with it. So with the laws in California and the other privacy laws out there, they're big fines. Companies got hit within the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not by ransomware, but for leaking their data. So big companies got hit with a lot of money. So keep that in mind and do it. And there's a lot of good ethical companies out there who keep those scores up and watch it. And those are the ones you should do business with.
Brandy, yes. Brandy, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to shared expectations, agree with all of that. When it comes to shared expectations, I think it's important to recognize that if you are a decision maker for the technology that your company is using, you are shaping the culture of your company, of your organization. You are defining the technical culture for sure. And what I mean by that is, if you're buying a technology, should your team members trust it blindly? Are they allowed to ask questions? Do they understand the purpose of it? Do they know the why behind the reason that you chose it? Can they ask those questions? It's up to us in this room to define that, to define the culture for our organization. And so I think it starts there. And once we define the culture of our organization, then we can begin to say, what is our expectations for us and for our vendor partners in this? And then we can begin to ask those questions that fall in line with what those expectations are. Is this my data? Do I own it? Is this your data? Do you own it? Are you allowed to aggregate it and sell it for industry insights? Do you, are you collecting the minimum viable, right? Like, are you getting more than you need? Can you collect my residents' behavior patterns? All those things. And we can get down into that, the real nitty gritty, into the weeds on what's happening with it. But I think that you have to establish who you are as a company and what your technology culture is. You have to be loud and proud about it, and then you have to create those expectations among your leadership, and then you can carry those on to your vendors.
It's because it's not only, there's not one size that fits all. There's also not one state, city, municipality that's going to say the same thing. So you really need partners who are going to know all those different nuances by where you are and where you're located.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with helping one of our clients out right now who's on the East Coast, and they're actually being sued right now. They hit a lawsuit for California privacy. They don't do business in California, but because somebody in California was able to access their website and it's not compliant to California standards, they are getting sued for not having the proper banners and cookie banners and do not sell my information on their website, even though they're not in California. Which is just like, I'm like, really? That's insane. So you have to have that. And then just on a point you brought up, I think one of the things that every rollout or pilot that we've tested, that I've seen fail is where we didn't properly include the people on site when it was an on-site rollout and take their voice into concern and really get the strong feedback from them. So I think that's a great point. That's one thing that should never be left out.
Doug, did you want to?
Yeah, just from, again, bringing from our perspective, you have the data itself that sits in the applications being used by AI. When we look at it as, the data is being used by the devices and the things you have, and it's being broadcast over the networks. There's very common that most buildings will have Wi-Fi and like to use Wi-Fi, but the cellular networks that we're bringing in and they're starting to get introduced through distributed antenna systems, DAS, are much more secure than the Wi-Fi. So when you're thinking about security for your building, think about the networks that you're implementing as well, because that provides a layer of protection that's really important. And the cellular DAS systems not only provide you over Wi-Fi a number of other benefits in terms of roaming, but the level of security and protection of that data when it's in transport is very high and much, much higher.
Shifting gears a little bit. So 40 months ago, OpenAI launched. That's how long we've been living in this environment. It's hard to believe it's not even been 3.5 years since this whole adventure began. Moore's law says technology will double every 2 years. There's some that are saying it's doubling every 3 months right now, and it could speed up. It's going to speed up even faster than that. Knowing that, how can you pilot without when piloting and adopting new technology? How do you move quickly while still protecting resident and tenant trust, data integrity, and all these accountabilities? I'm going to start with you, Jason, because from an operator's perspective, but I'd like to also kind of hear from the vendor partners as well, as like how is it that we can keep up with what's going on?
Yeah, for us, we kind of take a look at it, and we did have quite the rush when everything came out. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to be behind. We're going to be behind on this. We need to get a centralization that's based around AI, and then we just kind of realized, don't rush. Just slow down, take a look at what you want to do, find a partner that's going to work. Because if you find the right partner, that technology growth that you get is going to come through that partner. And that partner should be the one keeping up on and advancing you. And if you find one that works, and we found a few out there that have really worked with us and helped us out, and as they've grown, we've naturally got that growth with us without having to jump from one product to the other and where it goes. And so I think that's the best approach. Don't rush.
Yeah, that's great.
Get a good partner and grow with them and what they're doing with AI in their journeys.
Doug, do you want to jump in on this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. Again, for us, where we play, we look at it for the long term. And if you look at the carrier networks that we're operating on, there's a long-term view. So when we bring in the underlying infrastructure and the underlying technology, we typically provide as a managed service so that you're running a building and we take care of your network. But it's generally over a 10, 15-year horizon. So the idea is we're designing a network and an infrastructure that's going to be there for the long haul, that will evolve along with the technology that you put on top of the stack. So that's the way we look at it. So we call it, and there's the buzz phrase, future proofing. But we like to bring in the networks that are future proofing. So as the applications and things at the higher level of the stack can change over time and can adapt and become new and different things as you go. So that's kind of the way we look at it, is look for the big picture to be able to enable the other technologies that you're going to bring in to be interchangeable, but then also to be there and work securely and work reliably and give you that tenant experience that you're really looking for to give you your return on investment.
Great, thanks everybody. I'm going to start with you with this one, Brandy. Like, thinking through an AI strategy as a company like a BH's size, and thinking through governance and how that's going to go. There's probably operators in this room who are probably in the same. Well, we're all in the same boat as operators trying to figure this whole thing out. What can you share about what BH is doing, what you're doing, what you're thinking about as it relates to like an internal AI strategy, like how it works with governance specifically, and when do you bring that conversation into the evaluation process?
Yeah, it's a big conversation right now. We are all having it. It's as AI is moving from a place where it used to just make me nicer in email, right, to a place where we're talking about embedding it into our workflows. That's a big change, and it's happening really rapidly. And so right now, the things that we're talking about are how do we evaluate the level of risk, so that we know what level of oversight each action or task or workflow AI has should be managed by, right? It making my email nicer, that's a pretty low risk, right? If we talk about our analytics, it's not no risk, right? I definitely don't want to tell our CEO that we got a number of leads we didn't get, or that leads are increasing year over year when they're not, or that our seasonality bumped in December or something weird like that, which it has told me before. So it definitely needs human oversight. And then if we move over into that, we want to talk about compliance, we want to talk about pricing, we want to talk about more delicate and things that are a little bit higher risk. You are going to have compliance involved. You're going to have definitely human oversight. You're going to have audits. You're going to have regular testing. There's just different levels, and you're going to need to identify each of those as you're using it. One of the things that we have done is build a framework and sort of defined these are who we are and who we want to be with AI, and that's everything from what does a scoring look like for high, medium, low, all the way to the ethics of AI and the environmental impact that it's having, and who do we want to be when we talk about the environmental impact. And so it's not a really, we started it saying, hey, let's build an AI policy, and that sort of grew into what is now many pages of us putting down and writing who we want to be with technology as a whole, going back and saying who else should be involved in that. And we do know that because technology is so prevalent in all of our organizations, everything we do is an organ transplant anymore, right? I can't turn something off or turn something on without impacting everyone in the entire organization. And so, you can't over communicate enough when it comes to that. And I think we can't define too many things about who we're trying to be.
Yeah, I think those are really great points. I think the critical piece around governance, at a high level is being in a position to anticipate or understand the second and third step consequences of the problem you're solving with AI. And I think the systems that both of you have talked about from your audits and having a mission statement about who you are with technology really put you in a position to understand that. I think a little more tactically, those things go wrong really off of two components. The first one is a misperception or a misunderstanding that centralized data equals centralized operations, right? Centralized data cannot paint a rich enough story for your AI to operate in the walled garden that you designed it to work in. And then you start getting the hallucinations, or your residents are getting information about a similarly named property 2 blocks away that's not relevant to yours. And so I think truly understanding that just having the data in a data lake or a data warehouse does not equate to centralized operations. And then the other piece of it is understanding that you need to have those control metrics and that ownership, the human piece, in place so that you have those guardrails clearly defined to anticipate when the AI is going off the rails. Because right now, in discussing in the market, AI seems to be assessed and valued in a very binary pass-fail system, right? You put something in, you get something out, thumbs up, it's working, right? But being able to understand that the better way to assess and value AI is not the what the output is, but why is that the output and how did it get to the output? And so the transparency of what data it's making those decisions, even if it is just insight and analysis and you haven't set it free to go do actions on behalf of a human. If you're getting incomplete or inaccurate insights that are going to influence the decision that human is in position to make, that's just as dangerous and can happen just as quickly and as just as rapid of a scale. And so really understanding what the prerequisite for AI deployment is and what centralized operations truly looks like, and then being able to look under the hood of your AI value assessment with a partner that can show you the how and the why the output was generated. Because every AI is going to give you a polished, intelligent, sharp-looking answer, even if it's 50% wrong.
Can I just
get
add
right in
one
there.
thing to that? One thing that helps with that also is inventory your AI. And that's going to be really hard when you start to say, okay, let's make a list of who's using AI, what AI they're using, what access they have, what data is in each of these models, and then who owns that within our organization, right? If they're using this AI, who owns that model, who owns that? That for us, Jason and I were talking about inventorying our technology all together and what a kind of nightmare it can be. But just even getting together, okay, who out there's using AI? Who out in our audience is using AI? Who knows that in your organization, right? Is somebody keeping track?
Yeah, that's why we block all AI. You're not allowed to use an AI application, only the ones we authorize, and that's Copilot within our industry or within our company. Because when it first came out, everybody's like, "Oh, this is great! They got all their free accounts on there." We had the HR doing offer letters in ChatGPT, an unpaid for version for high level positions that was going out into the public. We had people assigning note takers onto meetings, confidential meetings within the company, and then emails were being sent out after that meeting to people outside the company. So you really got to take a look at that, and doing that inventory is important. And even like turning on an internal one like Microsoft Copilot is within your organization, you think, oh, that's safe. No, it's not, because HR, accounting, finance, payroll, they have stuff saved all over the network in spots they shouldn't have it saved. And if you know how to ask Copilot the right question, suddenly you know how much everybody makes if that data is not secured in the right spots. So we found that out pretty early on. We had a company come in and assess our network, and you don't do it once. It's constant. You have to constantly do that because somebody will accidentally save stuff. The CFO of our company had his 2025 taxes saved in a public area that everybody could, if you ask the right questions, send me this guy's taxes, you could have got his taxes. So it's very important you keep on top of that. And that's taking an inventory and doing, making sure everybody in your company is using an authorized AI. And if they're using it for your company, make sure it's licensed for your company and doing it. Company on the East Coast got put out of business. Somebody in marketing put out a 9-month campaign using copyrighted data. That company got sued, and it put them out of business. So stuff like that you gotta be wary of.
Okay, all you AI people out there, how many of you say please and thank you to your AI whenever you ask it to do something? 100%. Yeah, eventually if they do take over the world, I want them to like me. So I say please and thank you. So the emotional side of things, like your AI doesn't have emotion. This is the sort of last question we'll open up afterwards for any questions from the group. But thinking through that, what does it look like? What does our industry look like 5 years from now? What is your company's, your specific company? Like, Doug, let's start with you. What does Boingo look like 5 years ago, knowing there's this technology coming? What can we look forward to?
That's a question for our CTO. I'm really focused working with the building owners that we work with. But I do think that, a couple of things on this. We're going to see AI embedded into work process and workflows. You're going to see different models of security as we learn where the holes are, where the issues are. But we're going to be looking at that. I think we're going to be looking at.
Is there an AI sitting out top of Boingo watching everything and be able to attack things?
We are using AI in our network operations center. So we do use it to help improve, monitoring of the systems that we have under contract, and to make sure that we're living up to the SLA requirements and the performance requirements for the systems that we're offering, because a lot of those SLA requirements and the performance are written in as guarantees into our contracts. So we're using it there, and I know there's other areas as well. So. That's that from Boingo as a company, that's about as much as I can say right now.
It's all good.
But on the flip side, when we look at what we do and what we offer the buildings, I think you're going to see a lot more of the distributed antenna cellular systems in buildings. It's starting to happen now. The carriers themselves aren't providing in-building solutions anymore. So as you build high-rise buildings, you put in the low E-glass. You have all these, when you want to have a sustainable building, a smart building, if things can't get out, then obviously things can't get in. So we see a world where you're going to have Wi-Fi, you're going to have cellular DAS, you're going to have applications and things working on both networks where they're appropriate, and you're going to see buildings that have a lot higher value and offer a great tenant experience for those who are willing to take that journey and invest in it. So we're really excited about it, and we love to see all the applications and things that are being offered, because they've got to be run on something to give you the connectivity to do it. So we're really excited about it, and we're thrilled. And we do see these buildings coming alive, with all this technology. And my boys are at that age where you buy a house or you live they're living in an MD or they're living in multifamily, and they want that experience. And I know because they tell me that. So I think it's exciting.
That's awesome. Brandy?
In 5 years, I think we have upskilled our teams. I think they're working on solving really hard problems. I think our on-site team members can truly be the ambassador to their community, and they're not working on data entry anymore. I think that, imagine.
It's just like that deserves that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a really big deal. Like nobody wants to. I don't know. Maybe people do it. Going in and doing like Monday reports, budgets.
Yeah.
And what can we do at that time when we get it back?
Yeah, if you can just go in, imagine a day. It's not that far away where our team members come in on Monday morning and they have on their computer, who knows what we'll have at that time, but they have on their desktop a list of things that they need to do today, but also which residents are happy and which residents are unhappy and what they could do to make someone's life better today, right? They could, all of the insights that they can get that allow them to really focus on the service of their community and to truly be in support of the residents on a daily basis instead of walking in Monday morning and going straight into their PMS to start their Monday morning report, right? Yeah. Spending their day making our residents' lives better, making the community a little bit fresher and cleaner and more sparkly and more fun or interesting place to live. I think that's where we're headed, and I think that's I think that's possible. I think it's attainable. I think it's not that many years away.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The way I see it, it's we're just going to see innovation and being able to do more with less, right? Not taking away jobs. You'll just be able to do more with less. You won't have to keep adding within it. And for somebody who does, third-party property management, any corporate cost eats into the fees. So having, being able to support 200,000 units with the same thing you're supporting 100,000, with the same crew you're supporting 100,000 units, and that's where I see it going. You'll be able to do more with less because of the innovation that's out there. And as it spreads, you'll see people doing innovation within their own jobs. I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
I really want to try and get to some questions from the group here, so I'll be super fast. First, Brandy, you don't have to wait 5 years. That's Lively Zero Inbox today. The task, resident sentiment, proposals on how to improve resident sentiment. That is available right now. I'll say that in 5 years, the most successful companies aren't going to be the ones with the most AI. They're going to be the companies, both supplier and operator, with the most cohesive AI, regardless of to what scale you deploy it. Cohesion is going to be the defining factor of success and impact and improvement to your operations and to your bottom line.
That's great. We have about 5 minutes left. We'd love to open up if anybody has any questions. Yes.
So I oversee the IT department in my company, and I have a similar perspective to AI of blocking everything, essentially, and allowing what our AI committee determines we should allow. But I get a lot of pushback from all different levels of the organization that could be limiting opportunity for innovation from, bottom up and different levels of the organization with new technologies that are always emerging. How do you recommend finding the right balance when it comes to that?
I'll give a quick answer on that. Same pushback we had, and one of the things we did is you have to complete a full set of training using the AI tool you're using before you're giving it a license. And that way, what they're talking about, after they have that training and they use it, then they can show you that innovation. But until they show you that, I would not let them use it. And it's also good to keep around. We have a dashboard that shows people who have licenses and if they're using it or not. And if they're not using it, we disable their license.
How do you know they're using it?
We've got a dashboard within Copilot that shows who uses it and what they're using it for.
This is really important. You're actually using the tools that they give you to know who's using it, how they're using it, and they're meeting.
Because the license ain't cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. So we do that. We'll turn their licenses off. And a lot of times they don't even know we turn their license off because they're not using it.
You can identify tech debt and how much tech debt. There's a lot of things that you can easily track if you implement a comprehensive strategy around it. Probably have room for one more question. The gentleman in the way back did raise his hand first, and we can fit you in. We're going to do it, but.
Yeah, how does AI identify the need for in-building connectivity, such as cellular or Wi-Fi or 4G?
Doug?
I think that's a question for you.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Sure, I was asking, how does AI identify the need for having in-building connectivity?
How does AI identify the need for? That's a really good question. I don't know. Does anyone have an answer for that one?
I don't know if we have a good answer for you on that one. Sorry. Real quick.
So Jason, I was wondering for the threat evaluation scorecard that you have, is that something you built in-house or do you outsource that to them?
No, there's several companies out there. One is called Security Scorecard that'll actually do it for you as well. It's a subscription you have to have, and they'll feed it in. And they actually give you the report to send to your vendor. So I've gotten a report, sent it to the vendors, and they went and cleaned up all their holes and then sent it back, and then I rerun their scores.
Was it something you were able to customize with them so you would say what the threat levels were and what you were specifically looking at, or is it not their package?
They go out and identify. They have a list of what they're doing, and they'll show all their holes, and they'll send it to it. And it was really good. They identified it, and the company didn't even know they had that low of a score.
Y'all, this has turned into a much bigger session of people than I thought. None of us thought. This is fantastic. I want to thank the rest of the panel. Great insights. Want to thank all of you for staying, and hope you all are safe travel going home. And thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.